everyone. Welcome to another episode of Lapetina Presents. Now I have a special guest from United Kingdom. He's a multi-award winner as a director, writer, and animation artist. His name is Seb Cox. Let's learn more about him. All right. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much for being my show. And first of all, I
very
want to
welcome.
say congratulations for your amazing work you've done for the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was fun. And it's nice to have
Fantastic.
it at like right at the beginning as well, which is really cool.
Absolutely. No, but I checked your work. I was checking your website and all the job you have done, your trajectory, and you're very talented. And animation is not easy task. It's not
No.
easy. Yes, yes. Can you
Well,
tell
thank
us
you.
how you start? Why inspired to do an animator? Okay, I know you're also a film director, but specifically as an animator, what um, what inspired you to do that?
Animation as a whole.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I've only started officially being an animator quite recently. So
Mhm.
I definitely dabbled in animation when I was younger. So
Mhm.
I learnt a very complicated animation software known as Adobe After Effects. It can be used for many things, but I used it for animation when I was 11 years old, and I learned the groundwork with that, and then I didn't really do animation for a very long time until it was my first year of uh, college, also known as like high school at
Mm.
sort of like American areas. And it was really funny because in my first year, when I was 15 or 16, I was 16, um, like I was doing a film course, and none of the teachers really took any of the students if they'd been doing film before, whereas I'd been doing it since I was 7 years old. And I was like, look, can you please look at my stuff? Can you please look at my stuff? And the first unit we were doing was animation.
Mhm.
And I was like, right, okay, well, I've got to blow them out of the water so they know exactly what I'm capable of, so that they can sort of teach me at the level that I need to be taught at. And
Mhm.
we were asked to make a 30-second long animation using one animation technique. And I said,
Mhm.
absolutely not. I'm going to do all the animation techniques that I know for a 2.5 minute long music video. And that one you can probably find online. It was for Of Monsters and Men and their song Mountain Sound. So that music video that has essentially become their official one was me making that when I was 16 years old to impress my teachers, and from that point on, they sort of locked on. But yeah, I didn't really touch animation as an official thing for a very long time, and
Mhm.
with making my first feature film, Are We Monsters, I took that project on so that I would force myself to learn to draw because I hadn't really
Mhm.
tried illustrative animation or illustration at all. And
Mhm.
so I had to learn how to draw and animate for that feature film. And then Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey comes around. And at this point, I'm actually making more animation than not nowadays. And yeah, it's really good fun.
Yes. And what do you think that, for example, having that skills, for example, you can be able to create the characters, the customs, you can design all these things, and then you combine that as a director. How you feel that having that skills an advantage from other directors that basically they have to, I don't want to say call extra elaborate, but do you think you feel like you save most time in the sense that you can have a better picture when you create, for example, um, what is it? For example, you create the what is it called when I'm sorry, I forgot what my English.
Like mood board or
Yes, yes. When you indicate
like
that this is the scene that you create,
storyboards and things.
yeah, storyboard. Yes, 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 the storyboard.
Mm.
I just really recovering from the flu, so my mind is sometimes.
Yeah, I know. So good.
Yes, but do you think that the storyboard you as a because you can be able to do comics or just you do comics, you also do animation, both or just the
No,
animation?
no, no, no. As I said, I mean, when I learned to draw, that was 2019, so it's
Mm-hmm.
very, very recent. Um, but I've definitely had a knack for pre-visualization.
Mm.
I've always been able to do that with all the stuff I've directed and things. But I absolutely believe that now being able to do animation and draw, um, it it's given me a whole other level of skill that
Okay,
enables
yes.
me to do things and really it takes the reins off of your imagination because
Mm-hmm.
there are no longer any boundaries of what it is you want to do, which obviously if you're shooting film, like you go, okay, we want that prop, you're going to be okay, that's £500, you know. It's like it all costs money if you want to add something if it's real life, but
Yes,
if it's
exactly.
animated, it's just like, well, we'll just draw it.
Yes,
So
absolutely. Yes, and actually,
you can do anything.
exactly. And to be honest with you, I'm learning about those type artistic skills because my husband he does comics and also he does animation. And when he started telling me those things that you can save a lot of money or extra time, instant the action be portrayed in person, you can do by a drawing, After Effects, those kind of things. And I ask you these questions because I'm pretty sure, like a lot of people, like me, or they're learning about this, or they completely have no clue. And I watched the Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, and I say congratulations because I love your work. And I feel, when I see the characters, very um, hungry, looking for food, and then you transmit that. I was so scary when I saw your your drawings and the movement, and I saw some of these scenes from the real physical actors, and then turn to the animation. That was good, and actually, because I saw the film in McAllen, Texas, South of Texas, I took my mom, and and I heard that people in the audience were, oh, wow, they like it.
Nice.
Yes, yes. And
That's great.
before going to the master, because it's a feature film, the first one that you act, you did more, you showed your artistic skills on that. How you feeling about the response? Let's talk about Mexico because I'm Mexican too. I live in north of Mexico and also live in McAllen because I have a full-time job. For personal reason, I reside in northern Mexico. But this is a different story. But anyways, I saw the response in Mexico. People feel very, very happy. They're very positive. We're looking forward, and I see that how fans even they are sharing your artistic work and Facebook, social media. How are you feeling about that beautiful response, Mexico and
It's
worldwide?
wow, yeah. No, it's very surreal for sure. I think that's like the biggest thing. It's like you don't quite cotton on to it. I think the first time that I was it kind of hit me a bit was actually the other day where there's like a YouTuber that I've been watching for a very long time and I respect their kind of like community and all this kind of stuff. And suddenly their whole video was about it. And for the first like 3 minutes of their video was just he was just playing the animation and talking about the story of the film and things like that. Um, so yeah, it kind of only really hit me then, and it was kind of like, wow, yeah, no, people are actually taking the art that I've done, and they're wearing it because it's on all the merch now and all these kind of things, and yeah, it's very surreal because you don't obviously there's a big set of imposter syndrome with anyone in the creative industry, anyone who's got their head screwed on, right? I suppose, and I'm starting to get to, I'm trying. I'm starting to get to this position where I feel more confident with the work that I'm producing, and I'm quite
Mhm.
happy with what it is, and seeing people respond to it in such positive ways is like, yeah, yeah, right, good, because I've been working at it for so long, and that it's great to finally get it out into the world for people to physically see and then
Mhm.
appreciate, which is just, yeah, it feels good, but it feels earned as well. It doesn't feel, like, oh, I can't believe it's like, no, it feels earned. It feels right, and I should be proud of that. Yeah, so it's great. It's great, and it feels earned, which is a wonderful feeling.
Awesome. And you're selling um kind of merchandise about your art. People they can find on sebcox.com. The information is gonna be also at the end of the video to keep it as a part of the collection, souvenir collection for the Winnie the Pooh and more stuff about you. And yes, yes, and like I said to you, you transmit. I speak as person is speaking for my personal experience when I watch your art was beautiful, and I say, I was impacted. You transmit that feeling, and that's that's fantastic. And um, the Monster and Me. Can you? There was an award nominated as a best animation at National Student Film Festival. Actually, that one it was your first one, and the 2017 that was your first short film.
What
The
was the name of this one?
the the of Monster and Me.
Oh, of Monsters and Men.
Yes, I meant. I'm sorry. Yes.
Oh yes, sorry, yes. Yeah, that was, the music video for Of Monsters and Men.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the first. It wasn't my first animation, but it was certainly my first kind of like more whole
Mhm.
animation that felt like a completed product. Yes. I don't know if that one won any awards. Actually, it was definitely selected and nominated for, I think, best music video. But yeah, yeah. No, it's surprising how little that one picked up. So I think it's one of my best,
Yeah,
which is
fantastic.
quite surprising. Yeah,
Yes, and actually, like I said, was award nominee for the best animation for National Student Film Festival. That's
that's right. Yeah,
fantastic. So you're starting the first project or one of the first projects, and automatically, but you were winning, so you won awards. So that's actually nominated. That's fantastic. And but in total, you have, if I don't make a mistake, you have 2 short films in total, and then you move having your first feature film. Are We Monsters? 2021. You
that's right.
started. You directed. You were co-writer along with John Black. Can you tell us about this feature film? What inspired you to make that? Can you tell us more about that, please?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, made over 200 short films, and then uh, well, I was making all these short films while I was doing my education, because my education wasn't in film; it was actually in physics.
Mm-hmm.
So I studied physics,
Fantastic.
but because it's so demanding, I wasn't able to do features at that time, because it just took up so much of my time that I couldn't physically do that. But as soon as the degree was done and I got my PGCE, which is a teaching qualification, I was like, right, let's do the feature. And
So you
so
have
we
a
started.
doctor's degree. You have a doctor's degree
I
in physics.
No, not doctors. I got a BSc, first
BSc.
first BSc, and then I got a PGCE, which
PGC.
is
That's good.
your qualification to teach in the UK. Um,
But
but
physics is not easy. It's something else.
no, absolutely not. No, wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies. It's very difficult, but yeah, we got through it in the end, which was good. And and yeah, as soon as that was done in 2019, we got together and we were like, right, let's do this feature. And we wanted to take everything that we'd learned from our previous short films, and try and work out what it is that we represent in our creativity. And at that time, we were very much set on this idea of, we love capturing. There's a genre called magical realism, and it's essentially where you take real world problems,
Mm-hmm.
and you use the metaphor of fantasy to
Mm-hmm.
visualize them and communicate
Mm-hmm.
them.
Mm-hmm.
Because interestingly, with a lot of more serious issues in society, people actually respond better to them when
Mm-hmm.
they are presented it through fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
because people don't put up a barrier when they see it. And so we wanted to go along that route, but with a fantasy creature. And so we went along the route of werewolves, and we wanted to tackle the um, the kind of difficult area of growing up, which is finding your identity.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to combine both those two areas together so that
Mm-hmm.
we could make our own version of it. But we didn't want it to be a typical werewolf film where it's kind of just like someone gets attacked and eaten. Who is the werewolf? You know, it's not like that at all. We kind of work out who the werewolf is very early on, and we follow them, and we try and learn what their perspective is like to be the werewolf, because they don't want to be doing what they're doing. And it's them trying to come to terms with who they are and understand that. And if you've seen any of the trailers for RE Monsters, you can see them at remonsters.com.
Mm-hmm.
They are, you'll notice that our type of werewolf is very different. It's instead based on very old folklore. They're all kind of different shapes. They're not even sort of they're not they don't look like a wolf, but it's the way that they
Mm-hmm.
behave that is like a
Mm-hmm.
wolf. Um, but yeah, they're all based off of the 9 deadly sins and the old Greek gods that originally cursed man, supposedly. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and it allowed us to combine a lot of live action with
Mm-hmm.
animation as well, and have that throughout as the lead character Maya draws what she tries to understand.
Yeah, I can see your passion that, okay, as a film director, probably more into the animation. I can see that. I can tell that. I saw the trailer and actually, I want to see the full feature film today with my husband, and we love the trailer so much. And yes, also that's fantastic. Do you have any additional projects in the coming future, like at this
Oh
one,
yeah.
or integrating more animation?
Absolutely. That is exactly the route we're going, actually. So because um because animation just gives you so much freedom, it's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we've kind of and the limitations that there are with working with independent film, with how little
Mm-hmm.
budget you have to work with, you suddenly have this uncapped budget essentially as soon as you can animate yourself, because you can have the story do whatever you want if you're willing to animate it.
Exactly.
So we've kind of found this lovely medium where we switch between live action and animation back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And we're essentially doing the stuff that could be done cheaper in real life as live
Mm-hmm.
action, and the stuff that can be done cheaper as
Exactly.
animation. And so our next project, which I'm not allowed to reveal the name of yet, is half live action, half animated, and
Mm,
essentially, it's about 3 young adults trying to find their dreams whilst battling interdimensional creatures with skateboard swords.
that's good. So any of my director friends, because most of the people that follow is in the independent arts. You need an animator. He is the one. Just watch.
Absolutely.
Yes, and also, but your name is out there. Winnie the Pooh is just one door after for so many, and I'm pretty sure your recent project about um, our Wii Monsters is another big door. It's gonna be more and more and more. That's good. So I have a personal question I would like to ask you. You say you're full-time faculty professor on the university teaching physics.
Um, so I do a variety of jobs. I teach physics at A level and GCSE,
Hmm.
which are ages from technically from 11 years old to 19 years old.
Hmm.
But I tend to only teach the older students, um, and um, and then I teach 1 day a week at a university where I teach visual effects,
Hmm.
and that's at a film school. And then the rest of my time I spend animating for freelance.
Wow. So you're very more than full-time. You have a
Yeah.
full-time job. It's very hard. It's very difficult. And what advice you can give, for example, to those people who wants to be in the film industry, but as you know, it's very hard, especially people like you and me. Like I have my full-time job as well, and then I dedicate my weekends to um, with working on this podcast and and promote and collaborate with the independent arts. Like in your case, you have your teaching and additional more teaching jobs, and then also you are a full-time film director because that's where you feature film. It's a lot of work. You have to be full-time there. So what kind of advice you can give to someone have a similarity situation like you, full-time job, not easy to quit because you have to pay your bills, but they wants to be in the film industry. So what about you can give to those people?
It is a very difficult question, and there are lots of different ways of of answering that. It is completely down to personal preference, really.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with me, I have essentially been dedicating my educational life to build a security sort of a backfill if I need it. So physics teachers in the UK are very few and far between. They're very needed. So if I ever need to pick up a job, it's always there for me. Um, but with that as well, I'm trying to design a lifestyle that can produce an income more or less passively so that it provides me that time to then work on my creative work. So,
Mm-hmm.
for example, at the moment, I'm putting together a online physics course
Mm-hmm.
that uses my animation skills and my physics knowledge to do both. And that way, it allows me, once that is up, it gives me that more time to then work on my own creative projects without having
Mm-hmm.
to just work for time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, of course, if you are doing the full-time job and you can't go and do something else because you're kind of stuck in that, well, it's about getting yourself connected with people who are getting paid to do these jobs, and then eventually you can then gradually move from one job to another. Maybe you can go part-time and ease yourself into these other filmmaking jobs. So it is simply about being connected. Now, at first, you're going to have to, on those weekends, in those evenings, you're going to have to just work for free at first. Just go and help out on some sets, get to know some people. And the more you do, the more people you meet, the more people who like you, who like what you do,
Mm-hmm.
is going to enable you to know the right people who can then get you on a job to then be paid. But with that, it's also valuing yourself. If they are offering to do things for a bit of money and things like that, you go, yes, absolutely. You don't go, no, 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 it's fine. So it's finding that balance of self-confidence and also giving yourself that self-worth. But at the same time, you do have to sacrifice a bit at the beginning to get those
Mm-hmm.
contacts. But once they're there, you can gradually ease your way into the film industry if that's what you want to do.
That's good. It's very interesting where you said that sometimes you have to work with no for free, and actually have to volunteer to be able to connect. And this is something I saw several people that have interviewed. They say the same thing, and I like to say these things also when I see those students who are enrolled in the film school. I tell them, first of all, the connection is the most important. To be able to build that, of course, you need to work for free at the beginning. This is because the key is to invest connections, people that to promote your work. And yeah, this is it's a good point. And now you're bringing that, especially someone like you that you are multitask in this area because do the animation, make animation, directing, writer, three things at the same time, and yes, so that's great. I can imagine that maybe from the beginning you offer, okay, I make this for free and I make this for that, and then you start connecting, learning about you, your skills, and then the compensation comes later.
Absolutely. The reason why it's okay to say yes, you can work this for free is because if someone is just starting out, like they are taking a risk on having you on that set. So I think that's
Exactly.
also the perspective for that other person. Like they are taking a risk to have you there, so you need to show that you know what you're doing at first before.
Hmm.
They don't want to also have the risk of not only having you on the set but having to pay as well because you might not deliver. But it's showing that you can, and then they can
Hmm.
pay you the next time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you so much, Seb. First of all, I want to say special thanks to Martina Messe for introducing you
Absolutely, yeah.
for this show. I've been in Radio Luminar. We are almost getting for 2 years together, Martin and myself. And this show is going to be broadcast Radio Luminai, of course, in YouTube. Now we're in Apple Podcast. And looking forward to meeting you again, Seb, to do follow up on your coming project. It's nice to meet you and looking forward for more interviews. And also, congratulations not only for the Winnie the Pooh, but also for Art with Monster. It looks fantastic trailer. Looking forward for that. I recommend people to follow you also on your website, and those people who are interested to collect the merchandise for Winnie the Pooh, they can find that in your website as well. And also this will help him to continue supporting the independent art. So that's the purpose of my show, to support the home independent arts. And thank you so much, Seth.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure.